Hello guys, welcome to the Race Roundtable. Hope you're all doing well. And today was a great race. I hope you guys enjoyed the race because I enjoyed it. That was probably second or third best race this season. Most likely second. Just action-packed throughout. You had battles at the top of the field, the middle of the field, back of the field. You had crashes, you had spins, you had contact, you had overtakes, you had issues. It was just action-packed. Charles Leclerc winning the race, his first race win since Australia, I think, which was in April. Can you imagine? Ferrari have done my guy dirty, man. They've done my guy Charles Leclerc dirty, man. His first race win since April. It's crazy. But he drove very well. And look, I've made an observation. Beginning of the season, it seemed that Red Bull had better. The Red Bull RB18 didn't wear the tires as much as the Ferrari F1 75 did. And lo and behold, we get to the 11th race of the season, and the Ferrari, at least at this track, the Red Bull Ring, it was able to keep the tires in check and not use it as much as the Red Bull. And that significantly helped Charles, because the pace he had over Verstappen was insane. Obviously, until he had the throttle issue, which was, he was scared. You could tell. Like, that would be insane that you're braking but the throttle is still being applied because it's not releasing completely, which is crazy. But he did well to keep it on the road, keep up the pace, and yeah, so well done, Charles Leclerc. Obviously, if Lewis or George can't deal with Max, Charles can deal with Max. He's the only guy other than Lewis and George who can toe-to-toe beat this guy. Maybe even Lando Norris, but he hasn't really been in that position yet. Moving on to Max, it wasn't really it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault, man. He did everything he could. He just weirdly, the tire degradation on the hard tires was crazy. Like, the medium tire, he was fast, and then obviously the degradation kicked in, and then hard tires didn't really have the pace when he had the battle with Charles. Then he goes into hard tires again, had the pace and clear air, but then battle with Charles didn't have the pace. Even when Charles had the issue, he wasn't really catching Leclerc that much. So, I mean, all in all, he didn't convert the pole position, but a decent chunk of points for him towards his championship. Lewis Hamilton getting third place, well done to my guy. A bit of fortune went his way with George and Sergio clashing with each other. Yeah, but other than that, he deserved it because he was being consistent. He was causing issues in terms of pit windows for the front runners, because he had the pace on the hard tires, the medium tires. All in all, to recover from that crash he had, that rare mistake he made in the qualifying, to third place podium, third podium in a row as well, which is insane. Credit to Lewis, man. George, again, recovery drive after that 5-second penalty. I'd say he deserves it because I think Lewis got the penalty against Albon 2020, and obviously Lando. I mean, last year there was crazy amount of penalties. Drivers were getting penalties left, right, and centre for forcing another driver off the track. Lando did it to Sergio, then Sergio did it to Leclerc. Yeah. So I was expecting Russell to get a 5-second penalty, and let's be honest, it was a 5-second penalty. So no surprises there, but George battled well, came back to get 4th place, make it 3-4 for Mercedes. And Mercedes have been consistent, relatively speaking, in terms of maximizing what they potentially could have. If they can't get a 1-2, then they can get 3-4, they can get 2-3, etc., etc. Ferrari and Red Bull have messed up most of the time that they've had, or some of the time. Red Bull and Ferrari have messed up some of the time, whereas Mercedes, they messed up in qualifying, but they still managed to maximize what they could get from the race, which is a 3-4. So a brilliant result for them. Ocon driving a superb race, getting 5th place. Schumacher again, 2nd points scoring race in a row. Look, man, people were saying villain era Mick Schumacher is coming into effect. Mick Schumacher is living up to his surname now. He's getting into his stride in F1. I think it took him a while in F2 to get up and running. Then once he did, he just blitzed the field. So maybe the same is happening here. It takes him a year and a half to get into the groove, to understand what he's driving, how to drive it. And then once he understands it, he just clicks into gear. Lando Norris, 7th place, to maximize what he could with the McLaren. The McLaren is a crap car this year. I can't believe they flopped the car this year. It's crazy. Magnussen again, 8th place. Daniel Ricciardo, I'm surprised. I didn't even know Daniel Ricciardo finished 9th. Wow. I'm recording this 3-4 hours after the race. Daniel Ricciardo got 9th. Wow. I didn't know that. Wow, crazy. And so well done to him. Because, I'm hearing McLaren want to get rid of him for next year if they can get Piastri. If they can get Piastri, they'll get rid of Ricciardo. That's what I'm hearing. Fernando Alonso again 10th. Alpine kind of messed up his strategy, but he still managed to get a point. So well on to him. Pierre Gasly. We need to have an uncomfortable conversation about Pierre Gasly. We have Silverstone, which wasn't completely his fault, if at all. Then you have the sprint race in Austria, unnecessarily getting into Lewis Hamilton's way, affecting his race and then Lewis's race as well. And then clashing with Vettel, and then even before that, getting a 5-second penalty for track limits. It wasn't that in isolation wasn't an anomaly because other drivers got 5-second penalties and warnings and stuff like that. But in total, he got a 10-second penalty in the race. Do you know how insane that is for 2 separate thingies, 2 separate incidents, 5 seconds each? The Gasly he's got to get his head down and get back in the game, because this is probably the worst he's been since he was at Red Bull in 2019. I think this is the worst it's been. So you Gasly fanboys out there and fangirls, we need to have an uncomfortable conversation about him, because Mr. Pierre Gasly isn't really cutting it right now. Tsunoda isn't really cutting it either. He has some patches here and there, but he's not really cutting it right now. AlphaTauri, even the car isn't cutting it right now. They've had like 3 poor races in a row. So look, they've got to bring up some upgrades and get back in the game, because summer break is coming soon and they need to have a solid second part of the year. And let's not forget that 5-car battle near the middle of the race. That was incredible. And it was just like the Silverstone one, and within the last like 5-6 laps of that race, when you have 5 midfield cars. Oh, and British Grand Prix, it was like 3 top tier cars and then 2 midfield cars. Whereas here it was just completely midfield cars. Great battle, honestly. And they didn't trip over each other either. Just position swapping left, right, and center. It was crazy. It went from a 2-car battle to a 5-car battle just within corners. And these regulations they're definitely showing that yes, these cars, once the performance delta between the cars reduces, these guys can really mix up with each other and kind of follow and kind of attack with the tires, attack with the cars without suffering too much from dirty air. It's looking good for the future, and they're going to improve it furthermore. So that 5-car battle was a good insight into what F1 could be next year, the year after. And then we have to talk about Sainz. Carlos Sainz, first of all, it's a good thing he's safe. He was able to get out of the car relatively quickly. He would have gone out quicker if it wasn't an uphill section, because he had to press the brake on his car so it wouldn't roll down whilst trying to get out of the car at the same time. Yeah. But that Ferrari, the engine or the power unit, whatever it was, actually exploded. I don't know if something maybe infiltrated the radiator, the airbox. I don't know what happened, but something overheated and a car on fire like that in just an ordinary power unit failure for a long time. Like, that was insane. So yeah, we just see him on board, front wing angle, attacking Max, and then you see him slow down. I'm like, there's no yellow flags. Is this guy okay? Then we see this puff of smoke coming out, and then yeah. So the marshals as well, these guys were not quick enough. There was a marshal trying to put a wedge on the front wheel, supposed to really put on the rear wheel, because rear engine car, you know, most of the weight is at the rear. Yeah, at least they managed to stop the car and extinguish the fire, and thankfully Carlos is safe. But that engine is finished, and he's definitely going to take penalties. If he wasn't going to take penalties now, he's definitely going to take penalties later on in the season. It's going to affect Ferrari big time, towards the later stages of the season. And Perez retiring as well, he's a bit unfortunate. I thought he was being a little bit too aggressive and impatient at the beginning, because you know that corner, turn 4, around the outside is very risky, because you have to hope that the guy on the inside doesn't understay into you and doesn't try anything funny. So it is what it is for Perez. I don't know why Red Bull ran the car. After 5 laps, they should have realized that he's not going to go anywhere, so just retire. So to sum it up, my predictions weren't completely correct, but overall, great race. Second best race of the season after the British Grand Prix. Driver of the day would probably be, could it be Charles or George? I'd say Charles, because towards the end of the race, he's facing adversity, facing a potentially critical issue. Having your throttle still open by a bit whilst you're trying to break into these corners could upset the car, the balance, the turning of performance of the car. Like, that was, and to still keep up the gap pretty much, incredible. If it wasn't for the 5-second penalty for George, I would have given him driver of the day, but he caused the crash. So yeah, Charles is the driver of the day. Lewis gets an honourable mention, as well as Ocon and Mick. Next race, France. We'll see if Mercedes can claw back some pace, because they are slowly but surely catching up. It's taken them a long while, but they're surely catching up. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos, my preview to this race, my reaction to the sprint race of Austria as well. Check out my other channel as well, the Football Roundtable, if you're interested in football or soccer, if that's what you call it. And yeah, once again, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Adios. Goodbye.